Hello. Today I'm going to make a video on how to make a treadle hammer for my blacksmith shop. So I bought these plans online for $6 and I think they're pretty good. I started sourcing the parts and right now I have $200 in steel, and I started pricing the leaf springs, and the manufacturer that the supplier of the plans refers you to wants $150 for 2 leaf springs that are 17 inches long. I happen to have a lot of leaf springs from old pickup trucks, so I figured why not try one of these. They're much longer, might give me improved stroke, and thereby give me more speed and force on my strike. So that is going to be the effort. If anything, I can always shrink it down. It's easier to cut off steel than to add steel always, so here goes nothing. So there it is. Doesn't look like much now, but this will be the striking head. This will be the anvil. So 36 inches. It'll have a base on it, but that's pretty good working zone as far as for me. And then the strike plates will be these two jobbies. Kind of hard to see right now, but it ought to lower the boom when I get done. Strip these down to the base leaf with the ends and the bushings in them, because I'm going to reuse those, or maybe buy new ones if they don't service the way I expect them to. Alright, let's get started. Safety first, right? So that pretty much does it for the strip down of the springs. I just take it loose with a grinder and a punch. the one concern I'm having is that the springs you buy pre-straightened with a cold rolling process, so they say it keeps the toughness of the spring. I don't think that, since these are bigger by a 1/16 of an inch thick, that they will flex as much, because in essence you're going to counterweight the head in spring tension force, and then once you step on it you will engage the springs to catch up, make the head catch up in essence. And so you'll have two springs acting like links with the head out on the end out here, and so when it comes down and reaches the anvil, if the pedal pulls too hard and it moves, you can see it extends the spring out a little bit. So I'm wondering if there won't be a mismatch in the head to the anvil strike alignment, but we'll see. Like I said, these I had from an old truck that I was gonna scrap out, or I put a lift on another one, I don't remember. And yeah, so free and reuse is better than $150 for pieces of steel that big. So now I'm just going to take a flap wheel and go ahead and start to grind down some nice chamfers and prep this steel up for weld, and go ahead and I'll go ahead and fix the striking surfaces to the anvil and the head, and then maybe I'll start to mock up the framework and go from there. I might use some scrap steel to kind of stitch it together and lay out my sizes. That way, you know, I'm not cutting up the stuff that cost what it did. So, alright. It's always good to note too that when you have a striking surface, you should always bevel the edges, and I'll go through with a file later and really roll these to radius them well, because you'll create stress risers if you have sharp edges on your objects that you're colliding with. So while this piece of hot rolled is really durable on its own, anything you can do to help is just that much more. So I'll go through after the fact and either hit it again with a finer wheel and take my time, or maybe even an air die grinder. But just a good thing to note: if you have a striking surface and you have sharp edges on it, you will create stress risers. It may not matter, but just something I've learned from tool and die and making machines over the years that has led to longevity in them. Alright, everything's prepped. Do a little bit of cleanup here, and should be ready to go ahead and weld these plates to their other sides. So now I have the bottom stitched together. Start by tack welding it just so you make sure everything stays flat. Then start to peel up, and then just work your way around it and distribute the heat. And then also to keep it from warping too much. But this stuff's pretty heavy gauge steel, so I'm not really worried about that. Plus, the end result is going to be a hammer that gets beat to death anyhow, so it should be alright. So now I've kind of got this thing mocked up, and the angle iron is going to serve as the anchor point for the 2 leaf springs, and then also the head will then be anchored onto the leaf springs too. So now what I'm going to go ahead and do is weld up the back side wide enough to hold the distance that it needs for the springs and make sure it's good, flat, and square. So let's get to it. So that's about all I got time for today, probably this week. So back to work, homework, and life as we know it. Thanks for watching. See you next week.